Welcome to the Cultured Pearls of Wisdom show. And I am so excited. We're actually on to the third and fourth episode this time around during the month of February. And very excited about this particular show and the theme of it. No different than January. I'm just excited about mental health in general and the wellness and the different things that we can do to better attend to ourselves, which is what really this platform is all about. However, I wanted to intro, the same as I did last month, this particular show, which the theme is calming strategies, coping techniques, in addition to grounding exercises and different things that we can do to attend to ourselves. I found myself as a part of research that I'm currently conducting in this realm, all the way back to slavery. And some of the most intense moments when our ancestors were in the field picking cotton and doing the different tasks and things that they had to do, a lot of times the heat was overwhelming. They had conflict amongst themselves, no different than today. There are always emotions for us to attend to. However, it is a staple, and still to this very day, that a lot of them kind of reverted back to music and song and different dance in the field, all very expressive, but also all very calming and soothing. And by the time, if you think about a song that you really like, or if you're at the beach and having a moment, if you really invest yourself into those moments, easily it can shift your mind away from any troubles, any worries, any pains, and any fears. So some of the basic coping and calming strategies that we emphasize are things like deep breathing. If you ever notice when you're angry and frustrated, typically, especially for a child, your breathing becomes very quick and shallow. So we reverse the psychology as far as calming ourselves down, and we say you breathe in, you hold that breath, and you breathe out. So there's a very reverse of the same psychology. The breath that is now an indicator that is something wrong. We're upset. Our emotions are not in check. The reverse, going to the opposite end of the spectrum, helps to calm us down. This is so very necessary in a world where conflict is always evident. It's always right there, always right underneath the surface. These are actionable things that we honestly can do to help ourselves, which is amazing to me. One of the strategies I often emphasize is pause and think. Typically when we're upset, we have a thought and we react to it. But the right method of operation or choice would be to pause in between that thought and that action. So you can really ponder and consider, is this what I really want to do? Is this what I really want to say? Did I factor in the consequences to my choices? Is this really going to be worth it? There are all different toys and different things that we can use. Fidget spinners were the craze at one time. Just a little tiny toy that turns around and does all kind of cute little things, but it helps to take your mind away. Legos are an excellent source of calming oneself. You have to be so devoted to the process of figuring out Legos and putting them together that it really does shift your mindset. Rubik's Cubes or anything of that nature. Also, excellent tools and resources. I also emphasize a lot of grounding techniques and exercises. One of them, the basic one, is mindfulness. It's just simply disconnecting from all the chaos and the mayhem and just connecting to what's going on around you. So sitting in a room just as quiet as this, closing your eyes and listening to the sounds around you. And right now, I can hear machinery churning. I can hear birds chirping. I can hear cars passing by outside. All of this activity, more than likely, when I'm in the busyness of my life or the day-to-day operations, I'm most likely going to miss. So mindfulness, just being still in the moment, helps to ground us. Sometimes it's just as simple as changing your focus and even changing your environment. I tell people all the time, have no problem with taking a break, especially if the situation is intense. Excuse yourself, give yourself a few minutes to calm down, redirect your focus, gather your thoughts and your emotions, and then present yourself back in the situation if it is a wise thing to do. Sometimes we simply have to say, this is going to be an extended break. And when I gather myself and compose myself, it may be another day when I'm ready, but I will revisit this situation. So to intro this show, I've given you just some of the basic techniques, but we're going to go a little bit further because in the new millennium, in the 21st century, calming and coping strategies have become so innovative and creative. The arts are so well infused to us being able to calm, cope, and ground ourselves. From music to drawings to spray paintings to murals to sewing to all of these different avenues. They are excellent ways, in addition to the holistic approaches of yoga, meditation, and things of that nature. So never on any given day are we without options for being responsible for ourselves. And that's the ultimate goal. A cultured pearl of wisdom for today's society is when we take responsibility for how others have made us feel, the emotions that result from that, and the responses that we give. It is then instantaneously, especially if done so in a positive way, that our society will evolve for the better. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Sabrina Harris, and I'm the host and creative director of the Cultured Pearls of Wisdom show. For those who have not seen the first and second episode of this show, which was newly premiered in January 2020, I first of all ask that you please go visit the show's site on social media, on Facebook, YouTube, also now on Instagram. I ask you to like, to follow, but I ask you to also take in those shows because they're very fundamental as the establishing of this premise, of this platform, of the reason why we're doing this, and for the sake of the people understanding that you really want to be a part of this. But in essence, I'm going to give you a quick snippet. The cultured pearl is a pearl that is enhanced. So naturally speaking, there's a lot going on under the oyster shell, and there's a process by which a beautiful pearl materializes. However, we have individuals who actually are so well versed on creating pearls, jewelry, and things of that nature, the diamonds and things that we love, that they know how to infuse goodness into the process so something even more amazing comes out of it, which is how you get your colored pearl and your more expensive pearl and things of that nature. So the underlying premise of this is we all have processes going on inside of us and they create beautiful things. However, we can have people come along and infuse goodness into those processes and we are even better. We're to the next level and it's something more beautiful than it was or than we ever thought it could be. So that's the premise of the Cultured Pearls of Wisdom that we're going to continue to build upon. And now we're going to take a break and introduce the concept of this show.
Hello everyone, it's Coretta Talbot again, the co-host of the show called Cultured Pearls of Wisdom, with the House of Love Illionaires with Sabrina Harris. It is truly a pleasure every time to be in this position to serve our community, to empower each other, and to talk about trauma. And for this episode, listen, we're talking about coping skills. Yes, there's a process. We have our trauma, so on and so forth. We have things that we've been through or things that we're going through. But this portion of our episode that you're going to see today is about overcoming. How do we overcome? What tools do we actually use? So to start off, I'll share with you 3 of my most favorite and most used tools that I use, or coping strategies. I would say yes, even as a professional, even as a therapist, I have to practice what I preach. So my number 1 go-to, let's start off with this one, positive thinking. I'm big on affirmations. I believe it is medicine to the mind. It can come against positive thoughts, can come against those negative thoughts that we're having, those thoughts of doubt, of frustration, of fear, so on and so forth. My second one, meditation. And the best place for me to meditate, to be honest, is to be by the water. I love being by the water. Going to the beach, going to sit out by the ocean, so on and so forth. If you can't get actually there physically, you can turn on YouTube. They have a number of videos where they're but where they're sharing music of the waters crashing against rocks and so on and so forth. Just to hear the sound of the waves in the ocean, it can be very soothing to whatever you're thinking, whatever you're going through. And last but not least, journaling. Yes, I strongly believe in writing our thoughts down. I strongly believe in writing down our experiences, getting them not just inside of us, but getting them in front of us so we can really better face those things that are really going on in our lives and the experiences that we've had. So continue to stay tuned because we have amazing guests that will be with us on this show, and also our host, Sabrina Harris. But I wanted to just take the time to share with you some of my coping skills. Hey, why not? We all need them. Thank you.
We pray that you found the introduction enlightening, and I cannot tell you how amazingly excited that I am. You all know my lovely co-host, Coretta Talbert, Coretta Speaks Life, LLC. And Coretta, again, I want to thank you for agreeing to be a part of this journey. Can you share a little bit with me of how, I guess, this has resonated with you and what the experience has been like for you?
It's been incredible to actually be on both sides of it. I think because as someone who's been through trauma myself, and then someone to also help individuals with their own trauma and overcoming.
Yes.
And sitting here, although we're not sitting with actual clients, so on and so forth, but to be in the position of just helping people from this way, like behind the camera lens, and then also those who will see it beyond us just sitting here with our experienced pearl, or so on and so forth. So it's just been amazing just to be like out of the box as a therapist. Is what I'm really trying to say. And then also it's just like it's continuing, because we can be triggered even when we hear certain stories. And I know even some things that Diamond spoke about in her story in episode 1. I was triggered in some ways, and it just reminds me again that there's still work to be done in me. So like I said, to be in the position of the client and also the therapist, or just to be in a part of a sisterhood.
Amen.
And be in community. So it's just been refreshing in all those ways. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So we understand that the Pearl takes on concepts with this show. So typically I'm in the role of the psychoeducation Pearl. So we're giving a lot of information, the good stuff, the meat and potatoes of it all. Coretta is your transformative Pearl. So she comes along and infuses the empowerment. I love how she's able to sit in the environment and extract the jewels and bring everything full circle. And we also have the experiential piece, because I believe it's very important when we're giving information as professionals, even throughout our experiences and all of these different things, sometimes it can become a bit convoluted. Yeah. So we like to remain neutral. And today we have the beautiful Terrion Nelson here with us as the experiential Pearl. And experiential Pearl, indeed, we chose well. I did some research, as you all know, that I'm famous for. I believe in vetting processes, individuals, and everything else. And Terrion, I want to say that your reputation really precedes you in an amazing way. You are beloved by this community and beyond. Everybody, and I've spoken to several people like, oh my God, she's amazing. She's this. I just saw you in your purple with you and your husband. And I say, well, look at, just so many different things. But it was beautiful to see the way he honored you as well. So thank you for being here.
Well, I'm so glad to be here, to be a part of this process as well.
Thank you very much. So we're going to get right into it. And the theme, of course, has been layered at this particular moment, that we're talking about calming, coping strategies, techniques, and also grounding exercises. We're huge believers in mindfulness and different things that we can do. That's all a part of this journey. But I've learned that when we unveil our trauma, our pain, the worst that we've experienced, a lot of times we just leave people to rest in it. We'll walk away in it, and we leave it unattended, and I think that's so hugely disturbing. So the goal of this show, and I wanted to establish this early on, is that there are ways of attending to ourselves. I did a segment earlier that took us all the way back to slavery. And I had a chance to, when I was in Georgia visiting relatives of my husband, to go into a cotton field. In the middle of the day, in the Georgia heat. That's just a different kind of heat.
It's a
different kind of heat.
You ain't got that ocean.
No, no breeze.
There's a stillness.
It's just a still, heavy heat. And I was thinking to myself, the experience was amazing. I mean, to just go to a plant and pull cotton off, not like we're thinking clothing or anything else, but I'm thinking of being in a cotton field all day.
Sun up to sundown.
I know there had to be some conflict, like, get out of my lane. You just picked the cotton I was going to pick.
Right.
Get out of my bag. I know there was some kind of conflict, or just the elements had to fuel a level of frustration. But I go back to how they handled it. Song.
Music.
Spiritual. Hymns, dancing. I mean, there are even pictures of this kind of activity going on. So this is nothing new. It's been around for eons. I think we just have to become more proficient at becoming educated and activated. So, with that said, we want to know a little bit about you more than the customary. I'm going to see how far you're willing to go, but if you just share with us about Terrion, the wife, the mother, the professional, whatever you want to share.
Well, of course, my name is Terrion Nelson. I wasn't born here, but I was raised here most of my life in Palm Beach County. I actually was born in Daytona Beach. This is where my father is from. And I like to tell, my people that I meet, I grew up on both sides of the track. I was in Daytona, you grew up with Nana. Nana lived in the project. So I have that experience of being the project chick, know.
Okay.
But here, my grandmother owned property on 7th and Rosemary. We have our own apartment building that's still standing to this day. So we're property owners as well. And so I'm able to give our kids those different experiences. I'm a mother of 3 beautiful children that I'm so honored and blessed to be called their mother, that God entrusted them to me. Very proud of who they are becoming as young people, who are also in the arts and who are giving back in whatever way that they can. But as a performer, which is my first love, singing and giving the joy of music through song, whether it be classical, whether it's a spiritual, whether it be R&B, gospel, I've done it all. So I just love music, and I love how it makes us feel. And as you were talking earlier today, and when you were talking about the history of our music, and that's what I've been teaching my kids this week, my music appreciation class. We're doing a history of music through Black history. And I can't teach our music without teaching us the reason for the music.
Absolutely.
Because it's a part of history.
Absolutely.
And when you were talking about the shouts and the hymns, we've been learning about that all this week, and it's just amazing that what they don't know. And because we weren't taught this stuff. And it's important as an educator for me to teach our children who we are, the heritage that we carry. And they needed to know it started back as Africans. It started back to the motherland. Music was a part of everything we did as a people. It was a part of every ceremony, whether it was going to war, whether it was for a birth, whether it was welcoming guests to our village, or whether it was talking and praising the leaders of our village. Music was a part of everyday life. And I've even read in some commentaries that music was just as important as you and I having a conversation.
Absolutely.
You know, that was their means of communicating their feelings and whatever it is that we're going through. And that has transitioned to even us going through slavery. It became our coping mechanism. It became that thing, our source of hope, our source of getting through those hard times as slaves.
Even the lyrics.
Oh, yes.
The lyrics. We shall overcome.
Yes.
And the different songs that I now sit and listen to in church, and I'm literally in tears. I'm like, no, this was not just a tone. This was not just a rhythm. This was a true message.
This was a true message. Exactly. It was their only means of expression because they were not allowed to speak their language. They were not allowed to bring their customs and things that, you know, that they were accustomed to. And when you're taken as a slave, the first thing they're going to do is strip you of everything that you are or what you know.
Absolutely.
But you can't take the song in my heart.
Amen.
You know, and the Bible says to make a joyful noise unto the Lord. That doesn't mean whether you can sing or not. Just let your heart speak to the Lord.
Absolutely.
And so it's in us to use music as that sense of expression and getting through.
That's so beautiful.
Yes, it is.
That's, and not only beautiful, but yet powerful.
It's powerful.
And that's why even when I'm riding along, I could have just ended a telephone call that was kind of unsettling. And if I'll tune into the radio and get into the music, it's like, it just shifts my mindset.
Yes.
But it's very intentional. Carry on.
Definitely.
So explain the intentionality so people don't rest in the premise that you just turn on some music and there it is. Can you explain from your perspective the intentionality? And I'm going to have you touch on that, Coretta, as well.
Because people who write music, they're writing from experience. I even tell my kids today because they're listening to music all day long and they don't even understand why. But when I tell them where it comes from, they make that connection. I say, y'all listen to music all day because that's what you have to cope.
Yes.
To close out the rest of the world and what's going on around you sometimes.
Absolutely.
And I said, and even if it's bad rap or it's rap that, you know, the profanity and all that, because those people are writing based on what they experience. You know, and so many of our kids can relate to the gangster rap. They can relate to the people that are rapping about drugs and guns and all of that stuff because that's the life that they live.
Absolutely.
And so you can't, as much as, you know, as a Christian person, you shun that, you shun it, but it's somebody's experience.
You know, I have to pause and infuse this because I think it's hugely important because we talk about it a lot, meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
No matter what your perspective is or your walk of life, those who really are crying out and needed us the most or need us the most typically do not have that faith-based wiring. They do not have that undergirth. So for us to be able to not deny what we believe, but be able to be open and receptive to someone else who doesn't necessarily believe that way. I've found that to fuse people together and make them receptive to wanting to be on the other side, wanting to hear about God, not because I told you about God, because I role modeled His love and His goodness,
His love
and His non-judgment.
And non-judgment.
Coretta, what do you think about that?
Exactly.
I believe it all starts with love. And I believe that, like we even were saying before, even in this profession, whatever mechanism of coping or calming that we're using or that we're promoting or educating about, when we're working with anybody, rapport and trust and love, that's that connecting piece. You need that. And just what you're speaking of to say how people can be more receptive to our faith when we're not so much trying to sell it, but we're living it. We're showing it.
Right.
And I think that's the thing when it comes down to any profession that we're in or wherever we are in life. I don't have to sell you what I already believe.
Amen.
I have to, if I believe it so much, it's my responsibility to live it out. And it will show. It will sell itself.
It will make
And
you
it-
curious.
It will draw you.
It will draw you.
It will draw you.
It'll do its own thing. That's just like in the stores. Like a lot of brands who have branded so well, you notice they don't have to have a lot of marketing. They don't put a lot into marketing. They're very intentional.
Yes.
Because they've established themselves in a way today. They're confident in what their brand is. And you know, when you see a polo sign or you see this brand symbol, you already know. Like, you know what's coming with that. And you're
And you
going to
know the
respect it. Or
quality.
you can walk away from it and say, I don't want it. But you would never feel like it's forced upon you. So just speaking of what you were just talking about, or what you mentioned, just how we need to meet people where they are. That is very important. And it all starts, the foundation is love. And last but not least, when we look in the Bible, Jesus, like he was with him.
He hung out.
He hung out. When he they were coming. They weren't already saved. He met them where they are.
Where they were.
And then from there, their journey began with him in their way. And it was customized to each of them because they all weren't the same.
And it was
They all
mind-blowing
weren't the
to
same.
me that he knew how they were going to portray him.
Yeah.
He knew what they were going to do, but him being all supreme in that way, I don't caution anybody today to necessarily take that path
Right.
when you know people are going to portray you. But I just think it was amazing. I'm going to use myself for example because I coughed myself today very intentionally. First of all, the purple is symbolic of domestic violence and abuse awareness that I've overcome. But I often do this and go out in the community, whether it be the gas station, whether it be, and you're going to get the looks, of course, but I have to actually go to my beautiful supply store and see if I can get some of the dividend that I know is coming. Because a lot of people now ask me for referrals, they're interested, or why do you do what you do? Instead of resting in judgment.
Yeah.
So now I have this whole story and I have this whole
Open up this way
thing,
of
and now
communicating.
it goes into my personal story and everything else, and they're like, wow,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, oh, she's weird, look at it.
Yeah.
But
The
you're
people say-
intentional.
Very
Well,
intentional.
because you're confident in who you are.
Amen.
And when you're confident in who you are, you know what you bring to
Yeah.
the table.
Yes, ma'am.
It draws attention,
Yes, ma'am.
and it can, positive and negative. That's based on them, not you.
Say that again.
Positive or negative, that's not your problem. And it's true.
But for the people who want to learn, grow, and develop, when you see something that is different and you take a moment to interject yourself into it, dissect it, and understand it, there was so many teachable moments that people walked away with a greater understanding. I know some people who didn't even know the color purple represents Domestic Violence and Awareness Month nationally. Or just the theme within itself. So just having this conversation and being able to share that, wow, I just don't look like this. It's pretty, but I didn't understand. Well, let me help you understand.
Because most of the time, they're following fad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not following the reasons why. So many times we do things just because everybody else does it.
Absolutely.
And that's just the story of our culture.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to go look. You got to be so into yourself of knowing who you are that you don't just follow the crowd.
And you're okay with that.
And exactly.
Yeah.
But when you do stand out,
Please be ready.
be
Right.
ready for whatever's going to come at you and be able to stand in
And that's
your
why you
own
have to be
truth.
confident.
You gotta be
have
confident in who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to get back to what you said. When people, we don't judge, but people look at what you do more than what you say. And I remember growing up as a little girl, I got so tired of my mama saying, "You don't do as I do, you do as
Yeah.
I say do." Well,
That
that
irks
is
me to
not
this day.
necessarily
That
the
irks
truth.
me.
That's
That
very
irks
It's
mixed
just
message.
not. And I say, when I have my kids, I'm not going to tell them that, because what I do know is if I'm seeing you doing something, whether good or bad, I'm going to be like, so how you don't want me to do that? If you're doing something bad, how you don't want me to do that? You're my, so I'm looking up to you
Absolutely.
as that person in my life. And you're doing something bad, but you're saying don't do this, it's bad. But it can't be too bad. You're doing
If you're
it.
doing it. And especially if you're a role model, if you're in that position. I tell people, I say, be very careful about the positions you ascribe to step into. I say, because you immediately
It carries a responsibility.
you carry that responsibility. You can't say, well, yeah, I have this position, but I can do whatever I want to do. And you're finding that now all the way up to the highest offices in the land that we have to be responsible and accountable for what we say and do.
That's
That's
it.
very
And I think it goes back to, and even speaking of trauma, or just how we cope and stuff like that, I think it all goes back to us being as holistic as possible. And that's a journey in itself. But I think it goes back to character. It goes back to integrity, because when we think about titles, and we can make the ugliest thing look most beautiful. We can dress up our lives in any way. We can dress up our story when we can dress up our brokenness. We can dress it up, and we can trick people for the most part. But the reality still remains. You still have to face you, and you still have to face, I believe, our Savior, whoever you feel your higher power is. But for me, I know it's Christ. So you're still left with you, whether you're the police, you're the president, you're the therapist, you're the doctor, you're the teacher, you still are left with your own truth to face.
But let's go a little bit deeper, because that point is very profound. What I'm trying to get people to understand is this. when you're broken and you're veiling it and you're hiding it and you're suppressing it or denying it or whatever you're doing and not taking responsibility, when you now assume a relationship to any degree, that is transferred
Yes, ma'am.
onto that individual who
have
walks
such a
into it with a perception that is an illusion
Wow.
of who you are until they get in, and now they're inundated, and now we come to really understand the violent situations, the ongoing domestic situations. A lot of people are deeply rooted and invested in something that was not true from the start. Terrion, what do you think about that?
Wow. And the sad thing is, you sometimes you feel stuck.
Absolutely.
You feel stuck, and it's definitely not fair. It's not fair to fool people like that.
Absolutely.
And that's how hurting people are going to hurt
Other
people.
people.
And one of the things I want to say, especially when it comes to domestic violence, don't think that you're so stuck that you cannot get out.
Amen.
Because
Amen.
God always has a way of escape.
Yep.
And you were beautifully and wonderfully made not to be beat on, not to be belittled, not to be put down emotionally, physically, or any other way.
Amen.
And you have to be strong enough within yourself, again,
Yes.
knowing who you are, knowing your worth,
Yes.
to get out of a situation like that.
Amen.
Because love is as love does, and love is a beautiful thing when it's under the confines of what God says love is.
My goodness. Now that's a cultured pearl of wisdom for the people.
Yeah.
We're going to take a moment, and I want to rest back right there when we come back. And we're going to phase this out and take a break, and we'll be back shortly.
We would like to thank our sponsors. Young Men of Distinction. The House of Love Illionaires. Harris Boys Photography.
So we were talking in our last segment about our self-worth and how so many people, and we must say men and women, stay in abusive relationships because they don't know that they're worthy of more than what they're receiving or accepting from somebody else. And it's because of their low self-esteem. It's from past hurts and baggage that they may even be bringing from their childhood that they haven't healed from.
Yeah.
And so with you having that firsthand experience, what was it that finally clicked and said, you know what, I'm worth more than what I'm getting. I'm better than this. I deserve more than this.
For me, and it was a jambalaya of things, but the one thing that really stands out and stood out to me then was it was necessary for me to really get honest with myself. I had to stop lying to myself. I had to stop believing the illusions and the fantasies and the dreams and the running through the field with the flowers and all of these different things, because I was that individual that felt, and we have that fix-it nature as therapists and different things in this realm, that we just want to help broken people, and we want to pick those pieces up and help them put them back together and things. But ultimately, I had to come to realize that the truth you're not accepting about this being dysfunctional and toxic and broken and disserving to you and unhealthy for your children and all of you involved in all of these things was keeping me in something that could have ultimately really taken me out of here.
Wow.
But it was honestly and truly one person, which is why I talk about that voice. Because I had heard a lot of people say a lot of things. A lot of people had told me a lot of things. To be honest, in my professional realm, it's a lot of it I knew. But But this sergeant, after a particularly horrible, traumatic event, I was at the police station, and they had sequestered me, and I was in a room by myself, and it was just a lot going on. And I remember I was very upset because there was a lot involved in this incident, to include arrest ultimately. And he came into the room, tall guy, big guy, and he had just this like commanding presence. And I was sitting there, you know, after something very difficult happens to you, there's that moment where you're just sitting there like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. What do I do now? Where I go? I'm just trying to figure this thing out for the moment. And also, I'm sitting there figuring out, like, what happened?
Yeah.
It's like that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde syndrome. I'm sitting there like, but we came in this way, and it ended this way. So I'm still trying to sift through all of this. But I remember him sitting down, and he looked at me for a moment, you know, and he was like, what are you waiting for? So a lot had gone on. I'm like, maybe he think I'm waiting for somebody to come pick me up.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just way off base. And I had to ask him, I said, I don't understand. I said, what do you mean? He said, I've done my due diligence. And he said, I've looked into your history a bit based on the information we have available and everything else. And he said, I don't understand it. He said, but I'm not questioning you per se. He said, I'm just trying to understand if you can help me understand, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for a miracle to happen? Are you waiting for somebody to come and save you? He said, because I promise you that's not going to happen. He said, we came to save the moment today. But he said, we did not save you. He said, you're going to have to save yourself. I will never forget that man. Because when I walked out of that police precinct, I had a totally different perspective on that situation, which gave me a totally different perspective on life. I said, if I don't do something to change my mindset in the different ways and what I'm accepting and how I'm covering it over, I'm never going to get out of this. Because it's much easier to stay than do the work.
Sure enough.
If I tell anybody how much work, safety planning, all of these different things that we incorporated into that, it takes a lot.
And some people just don't even want to deal with it. They just don't want to deal with it.
But who are you waiting for? And that's why I want to be that person that asks that one question or say that good word that hopefully will make you think. Because I know I can't do it for you.
There you go.
I know I can't put them pieces back together in any form. Because I always said I didn't want to be what I was before I was broken. I wanted God to make a new masterpiece for me. So it meant some of them pieces I didn't need.
Yeah.
Some of the pieces I probably wasn't going to be able to find. But God created me a clean heart, renew my mindset,
Exactly.
and make me a better person.
So like being on that potter's wheel.
Amen.
Sometimes he just let you collapse.
Yeah.
So he started building up again.
Ooh, that's
Right.
powerful
Isn't that
analogy.
powerful?
I like that.
You know,
I
and
like
my
that.
dad always tells me, you know, when I taught him about different situations, he's like, when you get tired, ain't nobody gonna have to tell you what to do.
Amen.
You gonna know.
And I know that personally because when that moment, when it clicks, and I'm saying this for anybody who's listening, when it clicks and you realize that you have the strength and that when you began on that journey, you embark on it, that God at the head of it, he's going to make sure you have everything that you need. Because to this day, some of the pieces that came together for me ordinarily, I'm like, that's God.
Yeah.
That is all God. Where it should have been a no, it was yes. Where it wasn't there, it came to be there. It just systematically worked itself out. But God said, yes, you ready. And you showing me that you finna go the distance and I'm going with you.
Amen.
And he prepared a table before me.
Amen.
And I can't thank him enough. So if people don't understand why I give God all the time, all the credit, all the praise.
Come on.
And I thank him. And I thank you for honoring this moment because that was an amazing question as to when you get to that place, you will know. But you have to have the faith and the courage to walk it out.
To walk it out.
You have to walk it out. So with that, it takes us right into the coping, calming, and grounding. Because I know for me, during some of the most tumultuous segments of my former abusive situation, It was music. It was water. It was the rain. It was poetry. It was writing. It was so many different things that helped calm me down and to honestly keep my sanity intact. There was just so many nights when you're sitting in fear, or so many nights when turmoil, or after you've just been abused, that you're just not yourself. And you need a place, a way to escape, a way to cope, and to healthily attend to yourself. It could have easily been alcohol. It could have easily been drugs. It could have easily have been cutting myself for an unhealthy form of release. So I understand how easy it is to cross over into dysfunction.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why today it is very important to share with this world functionality.
Yes.
That there are functional things that you can do, to help yourself. So Tarion, music is one.
Music is one.
And we would love for you, being a chorus director at Palm Beach Lakes High School, and everything that you do with these amazing students, not only just musically. To me, you're actually therapeutically in that realm. You're helping them as far as life is concerned. There's so much embedded into it. So share with us a little bit.
Well, I just consider myself more than just a teacher. And, most people who really love the profession of teaching, you're called to more than just be a teacher of history, a teacher of whatever subject there is, because we are confronted with so many children who come to school with so many things that some teachers can't even fathom or understand. And coming from elementary school to see little babies, kindergartners mad at the world.
Yes.
Mad at the world. I'm like, you're 5. Why are you so angry? You're 5. Why are you so mean? Or you're 5. How do you know all of that?
That's the question.
You understand? I mean, it just baffles you because they've seen so much in their environment. They are confronted with so much, and you got to know how to be able to maneuver through all of that to do what your job tells you to do.
Yes.
And so being called to high school is a calling. It's something I desired way long ago when I first started teaching. But I taught in elementary school for 29 years. So when that call came, as much as I was very content being at Egret Lake Elementary School, I opened that school as a music teacher, had been there for 24 years.
Wow.
I was solid. I had even said to myself, I'm good.
I did that too.
I really said, because everybody's like, well, the principal's leaving. I'm like, no, 3 or 4 principals has left. And I'm still here. I am the last of the Egrets. I mean, that's what we used to say. But a month before school started, I got a call say, hey, my principal said we need a music teacher. And as I was walking today, the Lord said, you. I was like, I said, I'm good. He said, I knew that was what you're going to say.
Wow.
He said, but the Spirit, it doesn't lie. And I believe that. And he said, I know you're comfortable. I said, yeah, because I get to do what I want to do. I built that program he said, but just like you encouraged me to step it up, I'm encouraging you to do the same thing.
Isn't God amazing?
He's amazing, because I have been praying about some things. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. I was at that stage of my life, reaching 50.
Yes.
Like, okay, God, what you want to do with me now? I felt stagnant in my as a musician. I felt stagnant. It just in my life, like, okay, what do you have for
else?
me?
Yeah.
And I was just praying for him to give me some new things. Wasn't praying for that because, again, I was good. But when he calls you to a purpose, he don't care how comfortable you are. But in my spirit, as he began to talk, and I sat there in tears. Because I knew my prayer.
Yes.
And God doesn't come how you want him to come. He doesn't answer the way you want him to come, to answer you. But he's going to give you what you need that you don't understand. You needed that purpose for his purpose.
And it's perfect.
And it's always perfect. And as I spoke to my pastors, as I spoke to, women that I've surrounded, who always speak in my life, who tell me the truth.
Yes.
And they were like, God has been waiting for you. That's what my pastors. God has been waiting for you, and people were excited. Like, no, you fed the babies. You've given them as much as you can give them. We need you to, God is needing you to prepare some of these kids that are getting ready to go into real life.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And so they need you to be there to foster some things in them.
That's powerful.
And that was walking on that campus with all those big kids, seeing any and everything. I'm like, Lord, did you really call me to this?
Yes.
Really? And I've been there. This is my second year there. But as the year progressed, I say, listen, my call was a physical call from this school, but it was also a call from God. I said, I know and understand truly while I'm here. And when He's pushed certain kids to talk to me, to open up to me, has nothing to do with music.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm like, okay, God, all right. And you have to answer that call.
Yeah.
And even though music is that tool, because a lot of those kids, especially in my beginning chorus, they don't ask to be in that class. That's just that's a class where they need an elective. You like to sing? No. Well, this is the only opening because I have many kids in my chorus, and especially beginning chorus, they didn't choose that, but they don't leave. And listen to me, I'm just as humble as they come, because there was even a Spanish kid last year. I was like, you can change it, because he couldn't talk. He barely talked. He didn't sing, but he did not want to leave my class. So I'm like, God, obviously he sees something, or he feels safe here. Yes. He feels something here. And, I take no glory. I'm very humble, but I tell them I have no doubt about why I'm here. Why I'm here. And I'm just glad to be in that space where I can be that living testimony, and not by what I say, but how I live and what I, no, pull up your pants. You can't walk in my class, but no, you ain't got no belt, but I don't want to see your underwear. No, that language, no, you can't. Miss, but I ain't say the whole word. I just say, I'm like, but just because you left out a letter doesn't mean that you're not saying the word. And
you're close enough.
You're close enough, and I said, you're gonna respect me first of all as a woman in this class. Number two, I'm old enough to be your mother. My children are all older than you, and I'm a woman of God, and you're gonna respect me just for that.
Beautiful.
So I'm setting a precedent, and that's the everyday language for them.
It surely is.
Profanity is just a part of their everyday language. So that's very difficult for some of them.
Yep.
And even the clothing and style and everything else, which,
It's
like we
part of
said,
that
meet them where they are.
Yeah.
But when you can represent yourself in a way where this individual says, I want to respect you.
Yeah.
Like if I'm turning the corner, I might be sagging until I turn the corner to
say,
Miss
Miss
Terrion.
Nelson.
Oh no, I'm going to Miss Terrion. I got to get it right.
Exactly.
That you fostered a level of respect that is truly life changing.
Because you have to give kids an expectation.
Of course.
And you got to give them high expectations and help them to get to it.
I love that.
You have to help them get to it. And I'm going to give you a couple of chances. I'm not going to belittle you. I'm not going to berate you, but I'm just going to keep calling you higher.
Yeah.
But that's a powerful message not to co-sign dysfunction.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
That's a powerful message, because if I walk right in and let's clarify meeting an individual where they are, because I don't want people to misconstrue that. Because I'm not meeting you where you are means I don't have to come and now curse because you're cursing.
There you go.
I don't have to sag because you're sagging. I don't have to, lift my skirt up or do something here, be a little bit more provocative because you're doing it.
But it's also not judging.
Absolutely.
I'm not judging you.
And if I can say to you with credibility and role model it out that classy, regal, of substance, of grace, look how this looks. Take a leap of faith and see how it feels.
Yeah.
Now I'm giving you a different experience.
Exactly.
But I've met you and said, okay, I didn't, but my goal here is to be able to show you something different.
And I think meeting where they are is well, you said something like, I'm not coming to belittle you. So I think that goes in with meeting people where they are. You're not coming in with a judgment piece or heart behind it, but like, I'm not coming here to put you down, but through modeling, through me expressing my expectations or me seeing the greater in you, like calling those things out. Like, I know you probably walk around here like that doing school, but listen, when you come in here, I see you as a king. I see you as a princess. I see you as royalty, and you're speaking the language to them that they've never heard, but you're speaking to the baby, the leaping, and you're going to have them leap as Apostle has been talking about. Okay, but from the inside, so I think as professionals, as parents, as teachers, or whatever lane we walk in, and we have these encounters with our young people, with the next generation, or I say the generation that's now, because they not just next, they right here.
Yes, they are.
But I think a part of that, meeting them where they are and not belittling them, is basically like you're doing, calling them forth and giving them that grace to not be be there yet, but I'm gonna keep calling you forth in that thing, and I'm gonna model it.
Exactly.
You know, I'm gonna model it as well. So
Yeah.
that's important.
I think that's
Very
powerful.
important, you know, and even in teaching, as much as you all know, I love music. You know, I grew up with music, but and I'll tell them in a minute. I said, if I have to stop what I'm teaching, stop teaching what I love to teach you a lesson of life that's going to carry you,
It's gonna supersede.
then I'm going to take the high road and I'm going to teach you a life lesson. I said, because you may never take another music class. You may not even want to hear nothing
But
else
you'll
that
have
has to
that
do with
lesson.
music, but you'll have a lesson that will take you in whatever walk of life you choose to go.
Now that's a pearl of
And
wisdom.
that's
Yeah.
important to me because, even, it's amazing as we're teaching this Black history piece, how much they don't know. Because
Yes.
I'm like, okay, what's going on in y'all history class? Number two, how engaged they are to hear the information. And they say, how do you know all of this stuff?
Wow.
Miss Nelson, how, and I have examples of songs, of spirituals, and I said, you know what? No, I'm going to step out there and I'm going to sing for them, not to show off
There you
nothing
go.
that I can do, but I want to put it to you in real life
Yes.
because I want you to feel the person in front of you singing the songs of our people.
Yes.
Not some recording, but this is how it
Uh-huh.
was, and letting them feel that expression. They're like, oh, Miss Nelson, why? And one kid. Well, why you here? Why you ain't making millions of dollars? I'm like, well,
Right.
this is where God has
That's
me right now.
exactly-
And that's exactly, I said, this is the space where I am. And I said,
Yeah.
I'm good. I said, because the one thing that I love more, or just as much as I love singing, is sharing that gift of music, that gift of song with the children. I said, because I believe wholeheartedly in passing it forward. And I say, so this is the space where I have it to give it to you because I want you to get something from it so you can pass it forward. And so, but I just feel that music is that healing art.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when they're learning, the culture of our music, why we were singing the blues, why we were singing these spirituals, the meaning behind it, and how it helps us to get through. And I say, that's why y'all listen to music so much. That's why you can't get the earplugs out of your ears.
Yeah.
Because it does something to
Yeah.
you. It does something to your spirit. And I said, sometimes take a listen to something positive that's going to speak life into you.
Yes.
That's going to speak, I can do this. I can, I can make it. I can graduate. I said, because that's your purpose for being here, is to graduate. And, many times it's like, oh, miss, why we going to do this work? This is just an elective. I said, of which you need to graduate. And I said, and I'm a teacher.
Yes.
And I said,
you got a job to do.
I got a job to do.
Yeah.
And ain't nobody going to say I'm not doing my job. You're not going to catch me slacking. I said, and I have stuff to share with you. I would be not doing my job, not giving you what has been given to me, giving you experiences, giving you things that are going to help you along the way. So I'm not that sit down, be on your phone, and y'all do what y'all want to do teacher.
That's amazing to me because even if you were to ask, why are you not here? Why not you're not on the road doing X, Y, and Z? First of all, God's blessings, His abundance will supersede anything that you could ever do when you're not walking in His will. But when God calls you, that's what people don't understand. I said, even for me, I was like, God, I know you playing. No, God, no. I was really like, no, Lord, God, But when He calls you, what an honor that is. Out of the billions of people that He can choose. And if we're listening, He positions you just right. Just where you're needed. You're that one person. I say all the time that trauma, the situations always gravitate to me. I'm that one person. I know it well, but I've researched it to the hilt and I've walked it out. So He always positions me to be there. But for you to be there and impart in the minds and lives and the amazing changes that have taken place at Palm Beach Lakes, in part because of all of the programs, but essentially because of the core essence of the uniqueness of the programs. So it's giving the children something to really cling to that they can believe in and that they want to be a part of.
Yes, exactly.
And that's why it was for me. When I got really engaged in therapy, I wanted to show up. It wasn't a chore. It wasn't a task because now I'm really invested in me.
Exactly.
So I think that's amazing.
It is. And, I'm glad to be a part of the Palm Beach Lakes family, it's because, people wrote it off as, it's a bad school. They fight over there. Well, they fight at every school.
Yes.
It's just probably not as publicized as much as it is at Palm Beach Lakes. But one thing that I do know even with the principal. He provides so many opportunities for kids to be successful at that school. The different academies that take place.
If you want it.
Not perfect, but the opportunity is there for you to be successful if you want it. You know, providing every opportunity for you to pass that FSA so you can graduate.
Yes.
You know, pulling you during the day. So, because he know you're not going to stay after school, so he'll allow you to score at the top for the seniors who are behind in their testing or they're behind in the class. So he's pulling them from their elective to say, hey, no, come on, get this, because I want to see you graduate. So,
Wow.
what more can you ask for?
Yes.
But we have to take the ownership to do the things that we need to do for us, whether it be our mental health,
Yes.
whether it be our physical health,
Yes.
whether it be our educational health, because you need it in this
You
world,
need it in this
and
world.
our spiritual health.
Yes.
We have to take ownership of something. We can't keep pushing it off on the other person. We can't keep pushing it out on the other race. We can't keep using
Come on now.
excuses for us not being successful. We can't keep using excuses of why we ain't got and when because you can change. You can live in an environment, but you don't have to be a part of that environment. You're in the world, but you don't have to be of it.
You can rewrite that script.
You can rewrite that script. How many of us? Look at us.
Yes.
Yeah.
We shared a little bit about where we come from, but we are successful Black women
Yes.
who are doing their thing, who answered the call to do what we know what we're supposed to be doing, because we know that we have to give back and we have to be that inspiration for others. We have to be that inspiration for another little Black girl who's going through an abusive relationship or who's home being abused and saying, you can come out of that. You can come out of that. You can come out of that's your story now, but it don't have to be your story later.
And I'm going to tell you why I applaud you and the Corettas and all of the amazing women that I know in this light. It's because I know for a fact to be authentic and transparent is not easy. But as the only way, that is the only way that you can walk into a role and be credible and impactful. I have to be able to relinquish of me. Of course, self-disclosure, we have to be mindful and different things of that nature, but when driven and led by God, you just know.
You just know.
And I know that it's timely and I know that it's needed, but I also want to applaud you for a school setting that was once labeled.
Yeah.
You did not hesitate to walk in. Because I know some people with your expertise and your background and everything else would have been like, oh, absolutely.
Sure.
No, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Yeah, for real.
I'm not.
For real, though,
That
'cause,
is-
I mean,
that is real
I'm at
talk.
Egret Lake, so I'm on the other side of the
Yes.
baseball field, so I know what was going on in there. And, and I've been asked to go to Suncoast twice.
Wow.
I had been asked to go to Roosevelt Middle School. They were just not the right timing.
Yes.
This one, I didn't have an excuse. I did not, so I knew.
You know.
My children were gone.
Yes.
I had been at Egret Lake, like I said, 24 years. I was looking for something new and different, not necessarily in that area, because I had already put in my mind, okay, so now this year, I think I'm going to take my elementary kids to Orlando. I've never taken them out of town. So I've already built up in my mind what I'm going to do something different,
Right.
But I was like, okay,
God's
no,
okay.
you coming
Here's
up out of
the
there.
original copy of the plan. That was just the
That was
draft.
your plan.
draft. Here's the
Now,
original.
here-
I still use that. I still use that.
I
That
love
was- that was
that.
your
That was your plan.
Good job, but we're cut action. We're going over here.
Here's a real
Here's
contract.
the real one.
And so I really am enjoying the process. I'm enjoying being there for young ladies.
Yeah.
And even for guys, just saying, come on, dude, you can do this. Because they get in my class, some of them sit there and do absolutely positively nothing. I'm like, guy, just do the worksheet. Write a couple of notes. There's no reason for you to fail this class.
Yes.
Well, miss, I'm going to work for my family. Well, miss, I'm going to be a rapper. Well, no. Finish high school, love. Finish high school.
Right.
Because entertainment is
It's
hit or
fleeting.
miss.
Yes, it is.
This is not like I went to school to be an educator. All I had to do was pass the certification test, and I came to an interview because they're job openings. Entertainment is luck, blessing, favor.
Yes.
Who you know?
Popularity,
Do you have what
yes.
it takes?
And I
It's
think-
so many. You can't just graduate. So okay, I have a degree in singing, so now I'm gonna go do me an album. It doesn't work that way.
I think what has happened with that a lot of times is that the mentality that especially our African American boys have had is that their way out of their trauma, out of poverty, or out of anything, to be better in life, they think that, and I think for so many times that they've been told or it's been sold to them to say the only way out is through music or through football. through music or through
Sports.
sports. So I think for a lot of boys, I've seen that in a lot of, like, they have so many other things that, and I've seen boys who they really not get to that rapping. They really, I'm like, baby, I don't really want you to put energy into that. Like,
They're just like
and then,
pushing them.
you know, but for them in their mind,
That's all they see.
that's their way out of the per se
Yeah.
ghetto or out of the hood, or how I'm gonna feed my family one day.
Exactly.
I'm gonna be this rapper, so on and so forth. And so for them, they associate their lane in music with that, and also that for them it's like, oh, this is gonna be my way. This is gonna be my way out.
Yeah.
This is gonna be.
Oh,
and
so from Miami, you know, what's
Exactly.
that? Whatever that name guy
Mhm.
that I don't even know, some weird name guy. I couldn't even say his name.
Yeah.
But you know, they see people like
And
that.
they,
but again,
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
a lot of that is luck and
There you
happenstance
go.
when it
And
comes
that's
to
why we gotta
entertainment.
call them beyond that.
You gotta
that's why,
be
like
like,
you
what-
said,
what's
you have
your
to call them beyond
And
that.
you
Like,
know,
that's not it.
many people say, well, no, you just got to go after your dream and you don't need a backup plan. Yeah, nah. You need a backup plan. Because how many athletes have gotten hurt?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get that degree.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what did they have to fall back on? And we've seen the stories. They've made millions of dollars, but they didn't have anything to keep them, and they lost that money just as fast as they got it.
I was gonna say they didn't have
They
any in the realm of financial management or
They didn't
anything of
have
that
any of
nature.
that.
They didn't need.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go you the distance because this happened to me, and I speak about this often as well. Love my dad. He's now in heaven, resting at the feet of Jesus, and I'm sure he's loving where he is. I miss my father a lot, but he was a man of substance, and I remember him telling us, me and my brother, "You want to get that state job." State job to my daddy was everything because he rested on the benefits.
Yeah.
And securing the state job, I was like, I did that. And the money wasn't what I was anticipating. It wasn't
It was
any
a
of what
living.
I was anticipating.
It was a living.
Right.
But ultimately, I realized also, too, it was not my calling.
Mm-hmm.
So if we teach our children at a young age to begin exploring your gifts,
There you go.
and resting in the premise of God, please empower me and
Yes.
endow upon me my
Yes.
purpose and the reason that I'm here.
Yes.
It takes us from trying to figure out life to really trying to master.
And walking
You're
in it.
exactly right.
Master on
I
it.
taught my kids,
Yeah,
listen to
walking
me,
in it.
I taught my kids early when we would get up early in the morning and pray. I said, one day, you ain't going to have me to get y'all
Yep.
up early to pray.
Yes.
You're going to have to do this on
Do
your
your
own. You're going
own.
to have to build your own personal relationship. And even though I supported whatever they wanted to be a part of, because a lot of finding who you are and what you
Yeah,
desire, what you
explore.
like, is getting
Test
those
and trial,
experiences. And as a parent, we don't understand. It's more than, I know, we got to feed them, we got to clothe them, but you got to allow them experiences and exposure to things so they can find that gift. But I told them this too. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you need to be. So you got to take that up with God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I would go back to the scripture. He foreknew you. You got to seek God for that.
You have me reflecting, to be honest with you, because I'm thinking about all the shifts in turns that I took career-wise.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Yeah.
Cosmetology. I didn't even go to 12th grade. I had all my credits. So I went when it was North Tech.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that was good though.
But I'm saying I did nursing for a little bit, and then I went to the state job, and then so all of these different things to ultimately come to a place where God said, "I want you to be a conduit for my people."
Wow.
And I really feel like I could have been that vessel a long time ago. I know we have to go through things, and now it gave my experiences and everything else. But if I can help the generation coming forth to say, "Oh, adolescent." In that age,
Yes.
start really tarrying before God, the relationship with God, and say, God, my purpose.
Come on.
What is it?
Why am I here?
Come on.
You just said
That's the
something
biggest
so
question.
strong because I'm going to tell you what I deal with on a daily basis with some kids. They don't know why.
Come on. Come
I
on.
have no clue.
They have no clue. They don't even feel like just day before yesterday, a young lady showed me a note that she wrote on her phone. Because somewhere she's been bullied, people not believing it. And I had to look her dead in her face. I said, you are here, you are needed, you are wanted, and you are loved. And don't let anybody on this earth tell you anything different. I said, if anybody tells you anything different than that, you dismiss it, you keep walking, and you throw it away as far as possible you can. I said, but you are needed. You are special. You are beautiful. I had to speak that to her. And she just sat there like in tears. And I said, your life is not yours to take anyway.
Amen.
You didn't give yourself life. And I said, and God made you for a purpose.
Yeah.
And you cannot abort that purpose. Cannot. And so just to be in that place where you have to say, go, because kids, and I'm hovering at the door. When they want to be there, and I'm like, go.
But you realize that that's a moment.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have to take it because you don't know when you're going to
You
get
are
it again.
saving a life. Yes.
You don't know when you're going to get it again.
Yes.
But for her to come and stand in front of me, and I can always tell that, and I just thank God for being that, having that sensitive spirit, and not being so busy
That you miss
that you miss it.
Yes.
Doing the things of teaching, doing the things that you are required to do. And like I said, I stop, and I'll just have to explain later because a life is more important than a lesson.
Yep. And I think too, like speaking of that, like we honestly, like we're in a whole, I believe, I wouldn't say a different position spiritually when it comes down to who our enemy is. But I will say this, and as we all, I would think agree and know, like this thing is so much more spiritual than anything. And he is coming after our children like never before.
Attacks are serious.
And so we literally, when we're talking about trauma, and we talked about it in the first episode in the church and how we see mental health, and when it comes down to demonic forces versus a mental actual disorder or illness, and there is some separation with the two. We have concluded that, and we hold true to that.
Yes.
However, I still believe at the end of the day that honestly, like we cannot afford to. We have to literally lift these kids up in prayer.
Yes.
Because honestly, because even we have to lift them up to the extent that we can have all these tools. We can have our stories. We can have our truth. We can go in with all this expertise, all this passion. But let me tell you something. Sometimes prayer is the thing, or what's going to be used to unlock the heart so that whatever is being poured in can be, and so that they can actually receive it. But I think as professionals that we believe in Christ.
Yes.
Because you have some who don't, and all due respect to them. But I believe another part of us, like we're talking about the call, we're talking about purpose, being a teacher, being a therapist, this and that. But like you said, we have to keep in mind the actual call and purpose. And our first call is that, guess what? Like we're called to pray. We are called to be in, we're in war, combat in every moment. We're in the war, I said all the time. If you don't want to fight, you don't have an option. If you're going to fight, your only option is what lane are you, whose side are you fighting?
Do you have any
You don't have, thank you.
Yeah.
You can't say which if you, I don't feel like fighting today. No, because your enemy is fighting you regardless.
When it comes up, so as I'm closing that, I'm like,
right?
And that's how I'm
walking
going
back to start my class. I'm saying, I rebuke you, thinking you're not gonna get that.
But I'm going to tell you both. That requires humility and understanding who you are in God. Because I said, as a mental health therapist, and I'm professing this into the world, no session, no situation am I walking into as Sabrina.
Come on.
God is in the front of me. He's around me. He's on the side of me. You might see a whole army, but I'm like, God, for me to even be productive, for me to say what I need to say,
I need you.
Feel what I need to feel,
spirit.
move. I need you.
Yes.
There's not one time when I'm pulling up to a residence that's unfamiliar. Okay, God. But by faith, I know somebody in there needs me.
Exactly.
So there is no fear. I just rest in understanding that God has got me.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
While I do His work.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
You got to know
There you
you're
go.
covered.
So I just wanted to point that out because that is
That's
powerful.
Yeah.
That's so important.
That's
like the real work is like in prayer a lot of times. And we go out, we get to, like you said, be in that mode of teacher, be in that mode of therapist, and God is moving through that. But when we're in tune with Him, man, we get those jewel moments, and God just show up and show out. Because He already there. Because sometimes we don't even have to say His name, but His presence is so strong.
I was just trying to find a way to say that
It's
you
so
don't have to
strong.
say it. But some way He will allow you to speak
and He will
something.
come. Let me tell you, I had, and I know we're in this episode, we all in, listen. But I had yesterday morning, I was out with one of my new clients, and he came, and how I am with my faith and being a profession and everything, I never try to, like I said, I just let, if the light is in me, it's gonna shine, right? I don't have to turn it on, it should already be on. When I hit the door, whatever. And my client, and it's a male client, and I don't get male clients often as adults. And he came, he had on his shirt that said something about Jesus, but Jesus, I kind of like got into the session. I didn't say anything yet, And I was like, well, tell me more about you, whatever, so on and so forth. And he said something about his face, and I said, oh yeah, by the way, I love your shirt. Because he opened up the door. When I tell you, me and him sat there and had church, basically. And so I went back inside of the office, and my supervisor's office is right by where I was sitting on the bench with this man. And she can see out, but I can't really see in those type of windows. And I went in to speak to her, and she said, Coretta, like, the client just seems so engaged. You're such a great therapist. He was just so engaged. And I'm like, am I my own? If she knew, baby. We was at church. Yeah, we were really having
I wasn't even working.
That's
my word.
You knew, girl. You should have been out there. Listen, because she was bright. Her window was right there.
Right.
But that's just to say how God, listen.
Wow.
Listen.
He's gonna use you. He's gonna make a way. What?
Yeah.
And as we taper this segment out, I just really truly want to say and emphasize, because I don't think we do it enough.
Yeah.
To say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for answering God's calling, because I know a lot of people who are on the run. I was on the run for a couple of years myself. But when God has called you, I can tell you now, for those who are listening, there is no option to say no.
No.
He knows how to tear it down, shut it down. He knows how to get your attention.
One way or the other.
And then when I finally did make the commitment, I made it in a spirit of excellence.
Yeah.
You
Because
have to.
God honors us, and He cares for us even when we didn't deserve it. He did it in a spirit of excellence.
Yes, he did.
God saved me some truly tumultuous things, even though I had to go through some things, and I now understand why. Some of the things He saved me from was literally saving my life.
Yeah.
So in a spirit of excellence, it's now how we walk it out.
Yep.
And the beauty of it is that the people who cross our paths, remember that.
Exactly.
You were for the gentleman today. It was not for me. It was not for somebody else to show up.
Wow.
God ordained that for him because that's what he needs.
Yes.
Yes.
God ordained the student to walk into your path because that is what she needed. Another person could have spoke the same words, but they would not have had the same impact.
I believe that.
So we close this segment out honoring today that how God chooses us and rests, rules, and abide in us is truly a blessing to other people.
We would like to thank our sponsors. Young Men of Distinction.
Here, and I have Vel P, who's filming for me.
Just finished my photo shoot with Vel P Entertainment.
And I am so pleased with Vel P Production.
Here doing it with Vel P Entertainment. Vel P
Bill P.
Photography.
Yes.
What's up, everybody? Make sure you hit up Vel P Entertainment and Photography.
And Tarion, as we get ready to end this segment, and prayerfully this has been a tremendous blessing for the people, we want you to give them a Cliff Note version
Okay.
of what it is that you do that resonates so strongly with this community, your students, people around you, churches, and anyone who knows you. Just show them the gift that God has blessed you.
Well, I'll choose this song that's actually on my gospel CD. Is entitled "A Little Understanding," and I'll just do a little portion of the chorus, and you'll get the message. All they need is a little understanding, someone who will be there by your side. All you need is someone you can talk to. What about you? What about you?
Beautiful. I want to thank you both. Clap, clap. Go ahead. We can clap it up. And chorus director, you're in the community doing different things. Is there any contact information or whatever you want to leave for the people who might want to talk?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, although you don't see me on there much because I am not a social media person. But if you want to contact me for singing for any program, you can call me at 561-385-0487. Tyrion Nelson.
And Coretta, just close us out and give us a good word for the people.
Well, let's continue to, as I've said in the other episodes, and I'm going to stick by it. It's something that I live by or try to every day. Let's not just focus on surviving. That is very important. But know that God also wants you to thrive. He wants you to thrive in your purpose. He wants you to thrive in that calling. And continue to surround yourself with positive people. If you don't know where they are, I promise you, just keep waiting and looking. God will put them right in your steps. And be open and be ready to be used by God and to be loved on and to be healed. So thrive on.
And in closing, I just want to say the pearl of wisdom of many today that I live with you is this. It is the uncommon, unfamiliar, untapped things of this life and resources and people and different things that God has made available to us.
Yes.
That is really going to take us to the next level in our lives. So no, we don't need to suffer. No, we don't need to needlessly go through pains and trials and be imploded and debilitated and devastated. God has created ways and He has ordained people and processes and purposes and different things to help us. But we've got to show up. And not only show up, we've got to be willing to do the work. And not only be willing to do the work, but we got to make the sacrifice.
Yes.
And not only make the sacrifice, but we've got to be willing to give back. We got to show up different. And today, prayerfully, for many, it will be a new beginning. God bless you.